Hey everybody, this is Russ from Retro Game Core. So a while back I did a video about different handheld settings for RG351P and RG351M devices. Well, this video today is going to be an update to that original video because we now have a new overlays pack that allows us to have different designs and logos around our original screens. What I really like about these overlay packs is that it allows you to have perfect integer scaling for your original system. So for example, with Game Gear, all of the pixels are perfectly square in this scenario. But then instead of having these thick black bars around your screen, you have these really nice and colorful ones instead. And overall, there's a ton of different overlays available for you here, which to me just makes these games a lot more interesting and fun to play. So let me show you how to set these up and some of the options you have available for you. Without any further delay, let's jump into it. Okay, my first piece of advice here is actually to go back to my previous post where I actually have an entire rundown of different handheld system settings. This will cover your Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Neo Geo Pocket Color, and so on. And it'll show you how to set up shaders and overlays and color correction and even LCD ghosting so that you can have these optimal settings for your handheld systems. Now, once you've watched that video and kind of wrapped your head around the entire process here, let's dive into the new stuff. So over on Reddit, the user JDanS has made a ton of different new overlays, and that's what we're going to download and install today. So I'll give you a link to this Reddit page. Just go in here and there'll be a download link and download that from Google Drive. It's only about 3 megabytes altogether. So once you've downloaded it, I would recommend just go ahead and extract it. And you're going to have a folder named overlay and then a README file. And the README file itself actually has everything you need, but I'm going to walk you through it here in this video. The first thing is you need your SD card from your original device. I recommend using 351elec or ArcOS for this. And we're going to use ArcOS today. Okay, so once you've inserted your SD card into your computer, go ahead and open up the EasyROMs partition, and then you're going to want to find a place to put these overlays. And really you can put them anywhere, but personally I like to put them within the BIOS folder. So just go into your BIOS folder, and if you don't have a folder already named overlays, make one. And you can see I already have one from my previous video. And here you can see all of the older overlays that we had from the previous video. If you go into this overlay folder, you'll see there's now 2 subfolders, CRT and handheld. Let's move those ones over. Now the CRT one is going to have different bezels for home consoles like NES and things like that. We'll get into that in a minute. The handheld folder is going to have Game Boy, Game Gear, and Neo Geo Pocket Color. And this subfolder actually contains all of the other ones from the previous pack, so I'm actually just going to delete those other ones. We don't need them anymore. All we need are those 2 subfolders now. Okay, once you've got it moved over, go ahead and eject, and then let's put it back into your device. So here we are booting up ArcOS, and I'm going to navigate right to the NES folder and start up a game here so we can try out those CRT bezels. Now, just like in that previous video, we want to make sure that we have the correct aspect ratio going here. So we're going to go into Settings, Video, Scaling, and then under Aspect Ratio, in case it's already set to 3:2, we want to change it to either 4:3 or Core Provided. It really depends on the system. For NES, the native aspect ratio is 4:3, so I picked that. Okay, so as you can see here, there are faint black lines on each side here. That's because we have a 3:2 display trying to show 4:3 content. So let's go into on-screen overlay now, and we'll select one of those CRT overlays. So we're going to go into our folder here and go into CRT. And as you can see here, there's a bunch of available CRT overlays. Let's try the first one here. Okay, so there we go. We now have an overlay that shows a little bit of the CRT screen. But if you look on the right, you can see there's a little bit of the screen showing. And that's just the way the emulator actually works. It shows a little bit more screen than you're supposed to see on an original image. So this bezel is designed to cover up that part that you're not supposed to actually see. And it kind of glitches. If you've ever seen like an unbezeled NES display, you'll see the kind of glitching on the right. That's because of this lack of overlay. Okay, so let's jump in and change the opacity of that overlay so that way it looks a lot better. So we're going to go back into on-screen overlay. And then you'll see that the overlay opacity defaults to 70%. We're going to change that to 100%. Okay, let's go back out to the game here, and there you go. You can see it's covering over that right side of the screen, and if you look at that life bar up on the top, you can see that everything's perfectly balanced, and that's the way it's supposed to look. Alright, let's check out some of these other overlays. So here's the Exodus Samsung one, the darker one of the two. And here's the Exodus Triniton, the darker of the two, followed by the light version of Exodus Trinitron. Overall, these all just kind of look like 90s style TVs. Now there's also one named Minimal Overlay, and this just shows you the bare minimum that you would have to cover up some of that screen. But if you look, it doesn't work very well in 4x3, but it looks good when you use 3x2. So you got a lot of room to work with here. And finally, there's one called Plain, and that basically just kind of fuzzes out the right and left sides of everything. This one's really nice if you just want something that's very bare bones. Okay, let's move over to some of the new specialized overlays on the Game Boy and other handheld systems. We'll start by doing just the default Game Boy Color overlay. As you can see, it just has that little power light on the left, and that's really about it. Very bare bones. But if you dig a little bit further into some of these other folders, you'll find that there are specialized overlays here. So let's try out this Legend of Zelda one that's specifically made for the 2 Oracle games. And there you go, this looks really cool. Now, in addition, there are some that are not game specific, so if you go into the Super Game Boy folder, you'll find all sorts of random overlays, like this one here that has just a bunch of cats. Or there's another one called Theater, and it'll give you this kind of theater feel to everything. So there's a lot of fun to be had with these new overlays. I really like them. If you go into the game-specific Super Game Boy folder, you'll also find another list of overlays that are specific to other games. So even though we're playing Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages, let's try a different Zelda one. So here's Link's Awakening overlay. So let's check out some other game-based overlays so you can get a feel for what you can have available for you. So here's Pokemon Silver. You see it has a game-specific overlay. And there's just a generic Super Mario overlay as well, and it works well with any of the Mario games on the Game Boy. You can see here with Super Mario Land 2, it looks pretty fun. There's also a Mega Man overlay and just a ton of others. This is a lot of fun to play around with. Okay, so let's move over to Game Gear here. It has its own folder as well. And in addition to having some new overlays that are specific to just the system itself, like having different colors that'll cover your screen, there also are some game-specific ones as well. Let's try one of these Sonic Mania overlays. Yeah, I really like this one. This one was at the beginning of the video here. It's pretty cool. Alright everyone, that's it for this video. Just wanted to kind of highlight some of these new updates to these overlays. I really like these because it allows you to have the perfect integer scaling for your game, so you have this really nice experience. At the same time, it also deletes some of those black bezels that are around your screen, which to me are a little bit distracting. I think that overlays are a great compromise for when you want to feel like you're using the entirety of your screen, but you also want to have everything look nice and sharp. Alright, that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions, and be sure to like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and we will see you next time. Happy gaming!